Assalamualaikum and konnichiwa. Thank you for joining today's episode of Academy Speaking with me, Dr. Zalia. And today's episode is very exciting because we are going to sit down with our very own MEXT Scholar from Malaysia, and she'll be talking with us about her experience applying under the university recommendation and share her experience about going to Japan now during the pandemic and what all the procedures is like. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Yeah, dozo. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining today's episode. And as promised, we have a very special guest with us. I have Ms.Anysia Hedy, and she is a MEXT applicant year 2019, and she was supposed to fly to Japan for academic year 2020. So in today's episode, I hope that we can get to hear her part of the story of being one of the first people who were one of the first cohorts that was very severely affected by the MEXT Scholarship in Malaysia at least. So yes, Ms.Anysia, can you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hello, everyone. My name is Anysia. I'm currently enrolled as a PhD candidate in Mie University, majoring in plant pathology. So I applied for the scholarship in late 2019. Uh, I was accepted for fall semester for October intake in 2020, but due to the pandemic, I have to defer one semester. And currently, I'm here in Japan.
So I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about your experience in applying for MEXT because you applied during 2019, just before the pandemic hit. And as you said that you are actually under the university recommendation. So it's quite different from the embassy recommendation that people are quite used to. So maybe you can share your experience with us.
So generally speaking, some people would say that university recommendation program is like easier to get in, but um, to be honest, it have its easy part and the hard part. So the hard one is like to find a supervisor and also a university that actually have this university recommendation max program, because not all of the university have this program. So you really need to like email and check with the lecturer if you already have any interest in any field, or you already like targeting any university to begin with. I think you should start emailing your potential supervisor earlier. The easier part would be the whole process. You have your future supervisor to guide you all along, including the interview, the research plan, and everything. So there would be someone there to guide you constantly all the time.
So like for the if embassy recommendation, there's like the written exam, then there's the interview, then there's finding the universities and applying for LPAs. In the university recommendation, did you also have to go through exams or interviews?
Yeah, about that. For the university recommendation program, you probably skip two part of it, because the first one you already find a supervisor earlier before you start applying for the scholarship, and the second one, there's a written test for embassy program, right? So that part is skipped also for the university recommendation. So it's just sending in the document, your proposal, and then you will be proceeding with the entrance exam, which is the interview part. The interview is like fully in English. They would ask like, what's your research experience? What do you do for your bachelor? If you apply for PhD program, what's your bachelor major? What are you doing for your master? What's your research plan? What's your career plan after graduating? And are you interested? I think they are going to ask this question to all of the students. Are you interested in future cultural exchange program between your country and also Japan?
So based on this I guess this is quite a different experience, right? And like you say, the challenging part was having to find the supervisor first because your supervisor will guide you. So, what helped you to actually find the supervisor and make the connection with the supervisor? I mean, it's always very scary to suddenly reach out to someone and say, "Hi, can you supervise me?" So, what helped you with that?
Actually, when I was doing my master program, back in 2018, I applied for Mie University exchange student program between Mie University and UPM. So I was accepted into that program and attached to the current lab I am in. So it was like a lot of joint research, conferences, and a lot of talking with the lecturers. My current supervisor.
Mhm.
My, uh, Initially, I don't have any plan to apply for MEXT Scholarship because back then I only know about the embassy recommendation program, and it was very competitive to get the scholarship. So I don't think that I would get it. So uh, earlier in 2019, I attended a conference in Japan where I meet my supervisor again. So I asked him if there is any opportunity to do postgrad studies, postdoctor, something like maybe research assistant or internship or something like that. I didn't actually aim for this PhD program. So he said, "Yeah, we might have spot for you if you really wanted it." He said. I was like, "Oh." So if I come to Mie University, would I have scholarship? Because living in Japan, living expenses is quite expensive.
Yeah.
It was until I think August 2019 when he actually came to Malaysia. There was another student with him. Uh, she mentioned about she said like this to me. Um, why don't you ask Sensei about university recommendation program? I heard that there is this program for our university this year, next year, something like that.
Mhm.
So I approached my sensei and then I asked, Sensei, do you still remember about this conversation we have about doing postgraduate study? And then he was like, mm-hmm. I was like, scholarship? And he was like, yes. I was like, Ombusho? Oh, there are embassy program, but he's just like, duduk je tak ni kan. It's like, I heard that I heard rumors saying that there are university recommendation program, and then he said, I was actually waiting for you to ask for this. He said.
Ooh.
From there, it was a lot of research idea exchange, discussion about application, about research project, and so on. And then, yeah, currently here.
That's great. That's a that's the thing, like I think for the background, especially for MEXT scholarships, regardless of embassy recommendation or university recommendation, you really need to put yourself out there and reach out to these supervisors in Japan because they can be very kind and very what's the word? Welcoming. Yeah, they're very welcoming to talk to you, and as long as you have a research proposal that you have to reach out to them and talk to them, and they can be very welcoming and kind and help you to get all the way there. Because even in my experience, when I first reached out to my past supervisor, I didn't know him at all. I didn't know him. Just submitted my proposal and say, "Hello, Sensei. Sir, can you please have a look at this? If you are interested in this research, can you let me know about it so we can continue some conversation about it, right?" So I think that's one major point for any applicants out there, regardless of which one. You have to really want to reach out to your supervisors about your proposal. So that's really great to hear.
I think the reaching out part is like very crucial because they won't know if you're interested or not. They won't just like approach you and ask you because there might be other student who actually take the step to ask them. So whoever take the first step, they get the brownies point or like
So
advantage.
so this day, yeah. All right. Okay, so now we have a little bit background on that university application recommendation part. And yes, there are not many universities that offer this, but if you Google it, it actually came out. I think I did it before. You can Google MEXT university recommendation, and some list of universities will come up. But also like in Anisha's case, some universities might not post it, and you can ask the supervisor if they have the program in their university.
Like when I was applying,
Mhm.
the university recommendation previously for Mie University, they only accepted I think 2 students,
Yeah.
but cohort it's like four student under university recommendation. So I think it will be gradually increasing, but it's still very competitive also in a
Yes.
way.
Yes, that's one of the things I heard also in my own university, Utsunomiya, back then. The one who got university recommendation every year for PhD was just one or two students maximum. Okay, so now moving on to a second part of your application was, so you have applied, and I guess you received news that you got the scholarship in 2019 before the pandemic.
I received the news about this because the application is like after Christmas,
Hmm?
one between like 26 until 30th and somewhere early January.
Hmm?
So I received my I was scheduled for interview in January, and then they announced the results somewhere March, I think. Yeah,
It's
March.
quite early, yeah. Hmm. Right. And that was just when the pandemic hit, I guess.
Yes. I mean, no one thought it would be a worldwide pandemic. People thought it was.
Yeah, I see. So how was that like? I mean, so but you were scheduled to go in October, right? You were scheduled to go in October that year. So, um, what was the process like after knowing about the pandemic? Like,
Between March until August, there are not much of communication between students and the university. I mean, we did ask like occasionally. I did like have a conversation with my supervisor about what if the pandemic didn't end? How should I do this? Like, what if I cannot travel to Japan? What's the backup plan for this? We do talk a bit here and there about it, but most of the time, my supervisor would be like, "Okay, don't be too worried about this. We're gonna manage this somehow." So there's not much of communication going on September. Until September, I think somewhere August, September. Then they started to ask us if is it possible for us to travel to Japan, like if the border is open, can we go there immediately? Then I'm living in Sarawak, so it would be a bit of a problem for me to get international flight because I need to fly to KL. So at the time I was telling the university that I might need at least 1 to 2 week earlier notice because I need to arrange my domestic flight, is it? So uh, somewhere in September, my my sensei asked me if I want to defer or if I want to just enroll in October. So that time I choose to defer because there's for like two main reasons. The first one is because my research, how do I put it in words? I need to go to the lab to conduct research. So if I'm there, I'm just like gonna waste my time at home. So I cannot do any research. So I might not able to grad on time. And then if I grad on time, it will be a bit constrained on my financial as well. And then the second part is that if you're not physically present in Japan, you're not gonna get the scholarship.
yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So I decided to defer for 1 semester. They allow deferment, but only for 1 semester only.
So how did you know when you were going to actually be in Japan? When did you know like I'm actually going to go there?
That was a bit tricky. Um, So when I enrolled in April, there was not much of communication of when we're going there. It's more like, please enroll in here. Please like click this link to confirm your enrollment. Please do this. Please do that. It's a lot of registration and enrollment here and there, and there's not much of communication about when we are actually going there. And then I think somewhere in May, mid-May, so the International Relation Office actually sent an email saying that with the title procedure to come to Japan. So I was like getting very excited about that because I've been waiting for this for like the whole time. So in the email they said there are chances of student coming in June or August because the border is being closed for the Olympic. So they're sending I think an Excel sheet requesting us to update our body temperature every day in the morning and at night for the whole month, just in case like anytime where we can fly, there's already data about our health for at least 2 weeks. Um, when I called the embassy, they were saying something like, "Hello, Ms.Anysia, can you come to the embassy to do your visa? When are you available?" And I was like, "I need my visa before the 24th because I'm flying on probably somewhere around that time." I said, and then they were like, "Is it possible? No, it's not. Is it possible? It's like if you want to get your visa on 24th, you need to come on the 21st to the office. So I need to come on Monday." And I was like, "But today is Friday." And then she's like, "Yes, today is Friday. You need to come like another 2 days." I was like, "But I'm in Sarawak." And then she's like, "Oh my gosh." Really about this, because do you have a place to stay in KL and transportation and whatsoever? I was like, yeah, I have most of that figured out. I have family members in KL, but arrange flight and there's no domestic flight at the weekend from Sarawak to there are domestic flight, but it's like different district have different days that flying. So when I check, there's no flight from my place from Bintulu. There's no flight at all. Usually, it's like a 2 hours flight from Bintulu to Kuala Lumpur, but instead of that 2 hours journey, I need to drive from Bintulu to Miri to take the flight from Miri to Kuching, which is like and another 2 hours flight from Kuching to Kuala Lumpur.
So that was your weekend lah, I assume.
Yes, my weekend was on flight.
But yeah, but I guess you got there on Monday. So when did you reach KL for?
I reached KL Saturday night, so I spent my Sunday sleeping the whole day because I was like scared of all the flights. And then on Monday I went to embassy, and when I went to the embassy, after I submitted all the document, they were saying you can get the visa tomorrow. I was like, tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow. Told me that you need like 4 days processing because it's MCO right now, and then the staff was like, tomorrow, please come tomorrow. I was
Yeah. I when I did my visa too, I was quite surprised at how quickly they got it done. Even back in the day, I always thought it would take some time, but then I just always would get the call saying, "Okay, you can come and get a visa tomorrow." Like, oh, okay. But wow, what a journey from Sarawak! Oh, but you got there, which is good. Very happy that everything went well. So when was your flight? When did you fly to Japan?
my flight to Japan was on the 29th, midnight. Probably 8 p.m. from 9 p.m. from Kuala Lumpur to Singapore, and then 12 from Singapore to Narita.
Back then, especially during my time, traveling was no deal, right? Because pandemic wasn't here, COVID's not here. But I guess when you just went through it this couple of months before, it must have been quite a different experience, especially to fly, right? So is it okay for you to share with us a bit of your experience of the process of after all the flying domestically and now flying that night from KL all the way to Narita, and especially like if you read the news for people to enter Japan, especially, they can be quite particular about the things that you need to submit, the tests that you have to do. At least that's what I've read so far. So it'd be very great to hear from you exactly what was the procedures and what did they require for you to actually enter Japan.
If we're saying from domestically speaking, you need like the police permit to travel, interstate travel. That's all on the domestic part. But for international traveling, um, to actually go out from Malaysia, last time if you have a passport, you have a visa, that's sufficient. But now you need to apply for My Travel Pass, which previously they didn't mention that if like students need to apply or not. I mean, previously it wasn't implemented that students need to apply, but recently, somewhere in May 17, I think, they said that students who are first time going out of the country need to apply for this thing, this My Travel Pass. So I was quite lucky because I read a lot about this, like how to go out from Malaysia, how do people come in to Malaysia on Twitter. So I found out from a mutual that I actually need to apply for this My Travel Pass to get out is a harsh word. So actually, so actually went to Japan. Apart from that, it's like the normal traveling document would be like passport and visa. Additionally, your university gonna send you a pledge, which says that you're gonna be quarantined for 14 days. You will comply to like conducting PCR test. You will update your location if required. You're gonna answer with the video call when they call you, whatsoever the pledge. So you need to fill in the pledge and print it out. And also you need to do COVID PCR test.
I see. Is there a time frame of, because I read some people say you have to do it 72 hours before the flight or 24 hours before the flight. Is there something like that?
For the PCR test, it's only valid 72 hours prior to your flight, meaning that anytime seven, eh, 72 hours before you are flying, not 72 hours kalau tambah dengan masa sampai, 72 hours before flight. Because like some people get confused about this, so they're like doing it at the last minute, and then some labs they cannot provide the result immediately. Usually like 24 to 48 hours to process. So this part you need to be careful also. And then they would give you a form to fill in and to stamp. It's a Japanese format COVID test result thing forms, I think. Yeah, so after you get the original result from whichever hospital or lab you do the COVID test, you need to put the hospital stamp as well on the form.
Right, so thank you for that sharing. And you mentioned something, you mentioned about the My Travel Pass, right? So how do you, like you say you didn't really know about it. So how do we get information on this and or apply, or is it easy to get?
I think generally speaking, it's quite easy for student to get, but the processing could be, it could take some time. It took like around 5 to 14 days of processing, depending on if there's a lot of applicants or not. But for my case, it took me around 5 days, I think, to process. And this My Travel Pass, it valids for 90 days. So if you feel like you want to try to apply it earlier, I think you can do that.
So they will ask for that when you are at the airport, I guess?
Yeah, at the airport, at the immigration counter before you went into the international departure hall. So when they check for your COVID test, your passport, your visa, then they will check also your MTP, my travel pass. So on the day of the flight, we were supposed to be like three of us. There was supposed to be three of us, two from Mie University, another student is from Kobe University, but she's being barred from leaving the country because she didn't know about this my travel pass thing and she didn't actually apply for it. So now she's her MTP is already approved, but she have to wait until August to actually come here.
Oh no, I see. That's very, very not good news to hear, I see. So very important, yeah, to make sure we get the My Travel Pass. I guess it's a serious what you say, a serious document lah that we need to prepare. Okay, so that is the procedure at the airport. So you've got all your documents and you are safe to fly. And so yeah, you have arrived in Japan for at least 11 days, I assume. How was the arrival? And of course, the big question a lot of people have is quarantine procedures in Japan, because I myself, when I was there, I didn't know. So how was it like when you landed, and the procedures at the Japan airport at Narita?
Okay, so comparing to what it used to be, when pre-pandemic, it's like when you land, you get your stamp, and then you can get your luggage, then it's all done. But currently, when you arrive, they will ask you to sit like socially distance sitting. Then they will call probably like 10% at a time to actually go in to do the COVID PCR test. Unlike in Malaysia, the PCR test is not painful at all because it's just they're going to just collect a saliva instead of poking into your nose. So it's like they're using saliva kit instead here. So it was very fast. It took about like 1 hour for the result to be released. So they will call they will stick a number on like behind of your passport along with a barcode. So they would call by the number when your result is out. So once you are confirmed as negative, you may proceed with the immigration and luggage and whatsoever. But during my arrival, so Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand, I think, is considered as countries with VOC. So we are actually being separated from other peoples during immigration processes. Like there's like a special counter to like just quickly process us and off you go.
All right. So after that, I'm like my experience when I landed, and then after that, yeah, we had group. When I landed in Malaysia, like we had groups, and then they would take us to our quarantine hotel and whatnot. Was it like that for you, or did they have someone like the university sent someone in charge for you, or how was that like for the quarantine procedures?
For the quarantine procedure, because the students are coming in at the same time from different countries, we actually met most of the students in Changi Airport because there's like students from Indonesia flying into Singapore, from Vietnam flying into Singapore, and everyone meet up at Singapore taking the same flight into Japan. So there will be MEXT travel agency people who will hold a placard with a big MEXT letter that you're just gonna bring your bag, approach them. I'm a MEXT student, and then they would give you your stuff.
I guess after you meet the MEXT representative and get your rental phones, they will send you off to the hotel as a group. I guess the MEXT group for your quarantine.
Yeah, but for transportation, for students who come from countries with VOC, we are being transported in a different car compared to the others. So, but final destination is the same place, just different car.
So now you are in the quarantine hotel, and I think another big issue that people will want to ask is regarding the quarantine, how much it would cost, and if it costs any money. Because as we know, like back then in Malaysia, we didn't have to pay, but currently we do have to pay for our own quarantine measures. Even when I got back, everything you have to pay for everything. So is it the same in Japan? Like how are they dealing, or is MEXT cover it? Does MEXT cover it? or
MEXT do not cover that one. Even like MEXT will only cover for tickets. So your airport taxes and everything will be paid by yourself when you receive your scholarship. So same as the same case goes to quarantine. You are required to quarantine, but they won't cover for it. It is either by yourself, or if your university is kind enough to subsidize it for you, meaning that the university will pay for you. For my case, it was partially subsidized, but this one is like depending on your university. Some of the university would fully subsidize, some of the university did not subsidize at all. I've met a few students who are in the same quarantine center here. They actually told me that quarantine cost is fully covered by themselves. They are paying for everything.
is it possible for you to give a rough figure, like even for you that's being partially subsidized, how much いくらですね?
For quarantine expenses, accommodation for 15 night would cost like around 117,000 yen. Taxi from the airport to the hotel is 7,000. Smartphone rental would be 35,000 yen.
Oh, you
PCR kit
rental also kena bayar?
because
I see.
like
I thought they gave that.
PCR kit costs 20,000 yen because it's like 2 tests for Malaysian, and then thermometer would be 1,200 yen, and also food for 8 days would cost 40,000 yen. For the quarantine cost, you can try to be persuasive with your university, I guess, because initially they were saying that for us it's like maybe it's just like hotel and kit, a PCR kit or something. Then it's like probably half them, half us, but eventually they actually covering for most of the expenses for us, which is I'm very thankful for that, because it really costs a lot actually.
Yeah, it is. Especially during this pandemic, yeah, and economy wise also it's not very helpful. So we need all the help and scholarship we can get. All right, so thank you so much for sharing on that. I guess now we do have actually a clearer idea of what's it like to be applying for MEXT or being a MEXT scholar from Malaysia in the year 2021 during this pandemic. So lastly, do you have any advice or tips, especially that you'd like to give to upcoming applicants or people, cohorts who are going to come in soon?
First one, if you are really interested in the scholarship, please just do approach any potential supervisor. That's the first step to actually, like maybe the first step to actually like on the way to securing the scholarship. And then because currently in Malaysia the SOP is like constantly changing.
Yes.
You need to be aware of what documents do you need, what documents that you can just ignore. But to be safe, please just prepare everything, just get everything as early as possible, because processing would take some time usually. And then financially speaking, I don't know about other university, but for my university they did mention that the stipend will come in a bit later, so we need to prepare our own money. They give us a rough figure of about 200,000 yen probably for survival before you actually get the scholarship. So generally if you have around 200,000, you should be able to survive for like the first month before the scholarship actually was stipend. And then for first time traveler, please do pre-book your phone roaming. You don't want to just like when you arrive, you just let all the text, all the data running off, and by the end of the month you'll be shocked that your bill is like probably 300-400 ringgit. No, you don't want that. Just please pre-book your phone roaming. Please prepare for travel adapter, because back then it was very easy to get around the airport, but now all the shops are closed. So please, if it's available, please just get it early, because it, yeah, the plug is different. I think generally that's all. I think.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope for you to safely arrive in Mie from Narita. I guess that's around 3-4 hours. Will you be going by Shinkansen or
Yeah, Shinkansen. I just received my ticket yesterday.
Mhm.
Ticket will be pre-booked by the MEXT travel agency, but you need to pay them back after you get the scholarship. But it's a Shinkansen from Tokyo to Nagoya. Then Nagoya to Tsu is just a normal train, normal express.
Okay. All right. So safe journey. Can always keep us updated. If any of our viewers have any other further questions, is it okay for them to reach out to you anywhere or ask you?
Sure. I mean, very much active on Twitter, so maybe you can just link my Twitter in
Yes,
the
definitely.
description. Yeah. Pretty much active on Twitter, and my Twitter is public. So if you have any question, if because currently I'm very free, so usually I would just reply, because there's not much of an information going on and about for the current cohort, like what do we need to do, what do we need to prepare. Everyone is clueless, so I wanted to be as helpful as possible, you know?
That's great. That's so much. That's very wonderful news. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. And thank you for being my very first guest on the show. Hopefully we can have more cohorts to come on and talk about their experience with the MEXT application. Till then, all right. Thank you everyone. See you guys on the next one. Assalamualaikum.